Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of June 22nd, 2025. First up, a look back at the astrology in action. As I predicted, Donald Trump's military parade was a disappointment for him because Jupiter in Cancer, which suggests a big event that you're planning, would square Saturn in Aries the day after the parade. And Saturn is a planet of disappointment. And there were barely any people there. Take squeaking down Constitution Avenue as one of the images that we keep seeing. The military men and women were not stepping together in unison. So on display for the whole world was the visual image that the president is not very popular anymore with masses of people. People did not take the time to travel to this event. On the other hand, Mars in Leo square Uranus in Taurus did its thing. Over 11 million people were in the streets around the country protesting Uranus rules protests. Mars in Leo, the actions of the wannabe king. Mars rules actions, Leo royalty. And the protests were called No King's protests. It so fits the astrology. So it's visible on the world stage that masses of American people are upset about the actions of their leader, and so upset that millions are willing to go to the streets. Mars square Uranus is assassination energy, and unfortunately 2 Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses were shot in the morning before the protests occurred by an extremist. Unfortunately, one of them and their spouses died. The others 2 are still alive. But this is such a sad turn of political violence. The culprit was arrested, thankfully. The big takeaway for people of America and the world is that the emperor has no clothes. Donald Trump has lost masses of support. And on Sunday, he put out a Truth Social, which is his version of Twitter, instructions for ICE to focus on Democratic City. And what he said is that he's directed his entire administration to put every resource possible behind the effort for the mass migration efforts to expel people from the United States and prevent the admission of anyone who undermines the domestic tranquility of the U.S. And he's instructed ICE, the FBI, DEA, ATF, the Pentagon, and the State Department. Last week, I predicted he might invoke the Insurrection Act. He did not, but this is another step towards it. Using armed forces against citizens of the United States is chilling. Now, the protests were predominantly peaceful. There was someone who was killed in Salt Lake City, And there were little bursts of conflict in other areas throughout the country, but it was really beautiful. It was a day when I'm feeling really proud of American citizens for showing up, standing up for democracy, and not bending the knee to a wannabe king. On the global front, Israel attacked Iran the day after the full moon. The timing, it makes sense because Iran is a Sagittarius rising, just like the United States. So the full moon in Sagittarius was in their first house of people. And with the Mars Uranus square, the timing of the attack is not surprising. Israel has justified it by saying that their goal is to eliminate the nuclear program, and they use targeted strikes to take out 10 nuclear scientists. Israel is a Leo moon, and Mars in Leo entered the sign opposite Pluto in Aquarius. So an attack for nuclear purposes fits the astrology. Iran retaliated, and this time they were able to pierce the Iron Dome. Both countries have people who are dealing with death, loss of loved ones, loss of housing, as missiles are striking cities in both countries. So the people of the nations are dealing with the results of actions taken by their leaders. There's a lot of talk about how Netanyahu left the country before this happened. Apparently, his son is getting married. And now Iran is threatening the U.S. as well. Mars is on the president's ascendant, and Israel has asked for his support. So we will see if the U.S. gets involved in this conflict. There is a good chance that it is possible. He really is between a rock and a hard place because many of the people who voted for him, his most ardent supporters, are very much against the U.S. getting into any more foreign conflicts. Many Americans are outraged by what is happening in Gaza and have no desire to go to war to protect Israel after they launched this last action. So the president is going to have a really hard time getting any support for military intervention. This is very concerning because of the astrology coming up, which I will detail in a bit. There was also a plane crash that coincided with the Sagittarius full moon. Sagittarius rules long distance travel. It was going from India to England. Uranus rules aviation, Mars accidents. And a big part of the story was there was a sole survivor. And Jupiter rules blessings. And there was a lot of talk about how lucky this man was that square Saturn and Aries, that he did not die. Saturn rules death in this accident. There were several other stories, including somebody at a museum who sat on a priceless piece of artwork chair that just crumbled to the ground. Mars square Uranus is sudden upheaval, and it was worth masses of money. Jupiter rules wealth. Square Saturn, the structure just collapsed. One of Prince William's wealthy billionaire friends was stung by a bee and died. Mars square Uranus, a bee sting. Mars rules biting insects, and Uranus, very sad story. And the Wealth and Royal Association comes through Jupiter. Jupiter rules wealth as well as royalty. Jupiter and Saturn are both in cardinal initiating signs. Saturn rules death, and he died very quickly from this unfortunate attack Aries by a bee. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birth Date book. It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birth date candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The theme of this week is love in a time of cholera, and there are three big things I want you to think about as you navigate this week. The first is that Jupiter Cazimi is on June 24th. That's Tuesday at 8:17 a.m. Pacific time. When a planet is Cazimi, it's thought to be very fortunate. It meets the sun, which is the king imagery of the solar system, or you can think about the monarch to take the gender out of it. And the person sits at the foot of the monarch or the planet and can ask for a favor, and that favor will be granted. We know that Israel has asked President Trump to bring the U.S. into the war with Iran, so this is very concerning from that perspective. Jupiter rules luck, abundance, expansion. It's a benefic. It rules doctors, religious leaders. And Cancer is the sign of its exaltation. Cancer rules the home. Now, it's considered the luckiest day of the year when Jupiter meets the sun. As the sun is coming to Jupiter, as it gets within 8 degrees, it's what's called combust, where Jupiter is weakened. It's themes of death. Then you meet the sun, and the sun burns off old stories, and then rebirth on the other side. So notice stories where you're seeing a death and rebirth symbology. Last year, when Jupiter met the sun, one of the leaders of Iran died in a helicopter accident. Uranus, which rules aviation, was also active at that time. But definitely this is a time to take some time to make a wish. Just ask your guides, God, the universe, to bring you blessings. What do you want to explore, expand, and invest in over the next year? What blessings would you like to come to yourself? I think Netanyahu could be a story. This could be related to him trying to take out the leader of Iran, or the eclipse in March was to his midheaven in Virgo, and the South Node is in Virgo right now. I got this image of someone's plane landing somewhere that they didn't want to land, and somebody being arrested. So I don't know. That is just something I could see coming up with him. We shall see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if he suffered some kind of consequences for his actions. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a Cancer new moon on Wednesday. It will be at 4 degrees of Cancer. Cancer is a sign of home, family, foundations, nations, protectionism. There will be, with Jupiter in this sign, increases in nationalism. We're already seeing one of the stories from this past weekend, and this happened last summer too. People in Barcelona are so enraged about their housing being taken up by Airbnb and other services that specialize in supporting tourism, that they can't find places to live at a reasonable rate. They have super soakers. They're firing on, squirting people and tourists visiting their city with water guns. I can see there being some kind of big event during this lunation cycle where it gets really out of control, where maybe a tourist doesn't just sit there and take being doused with water, but there's some kind of battle that is engaged between tourists and residents of somewhere around the world. It could be for housing reasons or nationalistic reasons. We are seeing nations take sides on the Israel-Iran fight, this conflict. And so this is also very concerning. We're seeing the world's fracturing, conflict rising. It is not surprising at all. We know Saturn and Neptune are going to meet in Aries in February. They're both there now. They're traveling very close together. So Neptune just spreads things and mythologizes them, glamorizes Aries energy, violence, the military, and Saturn brings hardship and long-term consequences. So this is a time where we really need strong leaders to keep this from expanding out of control. I really hope the United States can step in and bring this war between Israel and Iran to a close sooner rather than later, because the United States is the only country that really has the sway with Israel to get them to stop. But with Saturn and Aries, people feel a real lack of confidence in their leadership, myself included, if you haven't already guessed. It would be amazing if he proved us wrong. And it looks like violence is escalating because Pluto in Aquarius, these massive transformations of people, is at the tip of a yod, which is called the finger of God chart pattern at the new moon. So Pluto's at 3 Aquarius and it's retrograde. And at the base is Mars in Virgo at 3 Virgo, and the new moon is at 4 Cancer, and Jupiter is right there at 3 Cancer. So there's this yod between Mars, sextile Jupiter, and Pluto is at the apex. Perhaps there'll be a scientific medical breakthrough around this time. I know there's been talk of a cancer vaccine. Jupiter aids to life. And so the actions, Mars in Virgo, of doctors in order to heal people could have some kind of big success. Now, I think there's going to be a story about, I think, Robert Kennedy, because in Love in a Time of Cholera, which is a novel, one of the characters, part of it is about a love story, and the man in the love story has tons of affairs. And it causes a divide between him and his wife. So I just got an intuitive hit that it would be something about RFK Jr. because he's the head of Health and Human Services, but it could be someone else who gets caught up in affairs, and there's going to be a Jupiter and Cancer energy around the story. We'll see what happens. Cancer energy is romantic. That's another reason I got this title. It also rules the stomach and the breast. Now, Jupiter's exalted in this sign, so exaltation can bring themes of arrogance or expecting things to go well and not considering all the details. So just be mindful to just double check. Pluto is powerful. Jupiter is lucky. Now, this new moon for Cancer is conjunct Uranus in Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader of Israel's natal chart. So he could have an unexpected surprise, turnaround. It could be a blessing. Now, if the leader of Iran is taken out, which we know he wants to do, he's taken out lots of leadership in this conflict in the last few days from Iran, the nuclear scientists as well as military leaders. But this could be the event that triggers the freedom, Uranus rules freedom, of his open enemies, the women of the country. So I am hoping this conflict, while horrible, will lead to some turnarounds. I've talked about this for quite a while, that I feel like the story that started back with Masha Amini is not complete, and that the women of Iran are going to continue to fight to get more freedom. And maybe this will be something that brings it about with the new moon conjunct his Uranus. Uranus rules the unexpected and surprising. So things could take an uncertain turn with him. We'll see what happens. This could be throughout the cycle, but there could be a big story related to Netanyahu. Well, there likely is, since he's in a war with Iran, right around the new moon on the 25th. And it could be related to that Jupiter Cazimi, where he gets a lucky blessing. The tarot card is the Two of Cups. It's a card of love and connection, but the Sabian symbol is at a railroad crossing, an automobile is wrecked by a train. So watch out for danger. Look both ways with the Yod with Pluto in Aquarius. A Yod, there's an apex planet, and then it makes a quincunx to two other planets. So Mars in Virgo's on one side, Jupiter in Cancer is on the other side. So just look both ways before crossing the street. Wear your seatbelt. I got the image of the movie Closer it's a great movie with Natalie Portman and Clive Owen and others. And Natalie Portman plays an American in London, and she is just walking down the street having a great time, and she goes to cross a street and she looks the wrong way, because in England, people drive on the opposite side of the road that they do in America. So she looks the wrong way and gets hit by a car. So that's the image that came to me with that Sabian symbol and the tarot card. So just be mindful of your surroundings, as we always should be. Don't assume someone sees you when you're crossing intersections. This new moon starts a new moon phase family, where the sun and the moon are both at 4 degrees of Cancer, June 25th of 2025. If you have a big goal, you might want to use this cycle for setting dates. 9 months from the new moon, there'll be a first quarter moon where the moon is at approximately the same place in your natal chart, activating you. The sun will be in Aries, the moon in Cancer, both at 5 degrees on March 25th, 2026. In your big goals, especially if they're expansive with Jupiter in Cancer, where do you want to be in March? The full moon of this cycle is December 23rd, 2026, where the sun is in Capricorn, the moon is in Cancer, both at 2 degrees. That gives you 18 months. Where do you want that big goal to be in 18 months? 9 months after that, the sun in Libra, the moon in Cancer, September 23rd of 2027. They'll both be at 0 degrees. For intention setting, this Cancer new moon is a wonderful time to think about, what do you want to grow? Cancer is a fertile, emotional water sign. Do you want to connect more with your intuition? Do you want to feel more safe internally? What do you want in terms of your family? Maybe some people are setting intentions about how they want their family to grow together or find more connection together. Maybe you have themes about your house. Do you want to redecorate? Do you need to move? These are all things that you can be setting intentions around this Cancer new moon. It's expansive with Jupiter's energy in this sign. So maybe make some stretch goals where you push yourself a little further than you thought you could. And this blessing energy can help you expand things past the boundaries you thought you had or created in your mind. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Mercury, the planet of communication and thought processes and transportation and all written documents, is going to be in the sign of Leo from June 26th through September 2nd. This is a very long time for Mercury to go through a sign. When it's at top speed, it's 3 weeks. And the reason it's in the same sign so long is because of the retrograde. Mercury will retrograde where it appears to go backward through the zodiac. It's an optical illusion from July 17th through August 11th. Mercury will stop at 15 Leo, a world point, on July 17th. So there's going to be a big story that gets a lot of attention, and then it moves back to 5 Leo. This is going to be important for the president. He is a Leo rising and his Pluto's at 10 degrees of Leo. When Mercury reverses over his Pluto, that could be a time where some news that's unflattering comes out. Leo rules the heart and the low back. Leo also rules young children. And it's a sign that's fun, dynamic, passionate, enthusiastic, dramatic. We may be hearing really passionate speeches. Leaders may make bold proclamations. We may see media spectacles. People may be talking to you in a really persuasive way, or you're talking very persuasively. If you have some kind of bold plan you want to move forward, be very mindful of the retrograde, because retrogrades can bring problems where there's delays, reversals, or the collapse of what was contemplated. A week or two before Mercury goes retrograde and after, I would not be planning any huge things that you want to be successful in that time. Retrogrades offer the opportunity for review, revision, revising things. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is embargo. We start the week with a Taurus moon, and Mars in Virgo is sextile Jupiter in Cancer on this day. They're both at 2 degrees. So if you're going on a long distance trip, Jupiter rules long distance travel, and you're at home packing your suitcase, can you think about, do I really need this? Can you be discerning or take more action about what you're putting in your suitcase? This can be a great time to consider decluttering your home, taking stuff out in order to bring order to chaos, which is what Virgo does. On this day, the sun, which rules the leader, is in the sign of Cancer, which rules the homeland, square Saturn in Aries. They're both at 1 degrees. This could be a leader taking an action that rejects others. And this is where I got embargo from. Cancer is a water sign. Maybe there's some bans on trade from somewhere. The moon meets Uranus at 29 degrees of Taurus. That's a degree of crisis and decay. There can be unexpected upheaval that people are experiencing, and it's a little bit shocking. This could also be like power outages somewhere. The moon enters Gemini at 7:56 p.m. Pacific time. Gemini is mutable air. People come together. They're talking, hopefully having some fun. But Mars is King Kong's Pluto retrograde exact on this day, both at 3 degrees. So there can be aggressive actions, or someone's really critical, Mars in Virgo. And it causes humiliation for a group of people, or for them that they're feeling overpowered, or there's some kind of health crisis is possible. So just notice what you're seeing, and this is an opportunity with the stories you're reading or hearing people say to you to think about, which aspect is this? There's going to be big news on this day with all of these transits. On Monday, the word of the day is mercy. The moon in Gemini squares Mars in Virgo, both at 3 degrees. And then the Cancer sun squares Neptune in Aries, both at 2 degrees. Neptune is compassionate, so that's where I got mercy about. Jupiter in Cancer is King Kong's Pluto retrograde. Aquarius at 3 degrees for each of the sign. Jupiter rules legal affairs. So that's where I got maybe a plea deal or a pardon makes news with a leader showing mercy. On Tuesday, the word of the day is wish. Mercury in Cancer squares Chiron at 26, Aries. They're both at 26. This could be an announcement about a health thing, is what I'm getting from all of the surrounding energies. There could be news, something about vaccines. We shall see. The sun in Cancer. So this could be a leader. King Kong's Pluto in Aquarius retrograde. Take some action. King Kong's are tense aspects. It's like an irritation where you have to release and let something go. And it impacts a large amount of people. The moon squares the nodes at 21 degrees on this day. So the Gemini moon, this could be about children or early education, Gemini topics, squaring the nodes, the south nodes in Virgo, a sign of health, the north nodes in Pisces. Pisces rules drugs. So it can feel like there's a choice point or a crossroads for people with medications. Jupiter goes Cazimi. It meets the sun at 3 degrees of Cancer at 8:17 a.m. Pacific time. A great time to make a wish and that's where the word comes from. And then the moon enters Cancer at 8:43 p.m. Pacific time. The first thing the moon does is square Saturn. The moon loves to be in Cancer, where it can do what it does with ease, which is feel and emote and nurture. But the square to Saturn, both at 1 degrees of their respective signs, says people are feeling limited or blocked in some way for something they want that's nurturing. This could be people at a water fountain trying to take a drink, and there's something where there's a long queue. On Wednesday, the word of the day is sentimental. The moon squares Neptune, so people can be feeling this sentimental, nostalgic, dreaming energy. And then the moon meets Jupiter, and then we have a Cancer new moon at 4 degrees of Cancer at 3:31 a.m. Pacific time. You may have thoughts about home, family, apple pie, foundations. Ooh, great day for a bath, a swim, drinking extra water, doing a meditation, setting your intentions for the moon cycle, all the good stuff. On Thursday, the word of the day is bluster. Mercury in Cancer is sextile Uranus in Taurus, and they're both at 29 degrees of the respective signs. There could be an unexpected news. Somebody could be talking, and it's the leader with the Sun in Cancer sextile Mars and Virgo, both at 5 degrees. So a leader can be kind of aggressive, and it can feel like a lot of bluster, and they're telling you they're doing something to protect you and the homeland. But there's something about crisis and decay with this, with the Mercury and Uranus being at 29 degrees, the last degree of the sign. Now, Venus in Taurus is sextile the North Node in Pisces at 21 degrees. I wonder if the president will be trying to bring more people in from South Africa, more Afrikaners that they're talking about, how they are refugees. Pisces rules refugees. And then Mercury enters Leo at 12:08 p.m. Pacific time. Communications and discussions can take on a dramatic tone. And the moon squares Chiron in Aries at 26 degrees of the respective signs. So this feels like home, foundations, and it's interesting. I got Blister in the Sun was the song playing in my head with Violent Femmes. So I wonder if women with Venus sextile the North Node are standing up about something. We'll see what happens. The Leo moon starts at 11:05 p.m. Pacific time. Leo is a fire sign. This energy is passionate, enthusiastic. There's leader energy within Leo. Pride and arrogance are also themes. You may be seeing people, if you're out and about, wearing a lot of red and being dramatic. I love a Leo moon, so I hope you have fun, and it's great when they fall on the weekend. On Friday, the word of the day is limitation. The Leo moon opposes, well, first it meets Mercury, and then it opposes Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So people may be passionately protesting something or someone or a leader. People could be pretty mad. And maybe this is what is the new moon on Bibi Netanyahu's Uranus. People may be so angry that he attacked Iran, and now there's people dying and homes being destroyed in Israel, and maybe they'll be protesting. Uranus rules protests his actions. We'll see. Mercury and Leo is trine Saturn and Aries, both at 1 degrees. There could be communications from Israelis. The country has a moon in Leo, and Iran has a moon in Taurus. So yeah, this energy could be about the conflict between the two nations, and that maybe the people want some limitations on this Saturn and Aries leader who they feel is taking extreme actions for conflict that's causing problems with them. On Saturday, the word of the day is romance. I wrote down surprise party. Mercury's trine Neptune on this day. Mercury in Leo trine Neptune in Aries. This gives themes of people excitedly yelling surprise. The waxing crescent moon begins at 22 Leo at 2:50 p.m. Pacific time. This is very near Israel's Mars and Pluto, and they maybe even have Saturn in Leo. So yeah, there'll be big news from Israel, probably related to their conflict with Iran. We'll see where the United States is related to this. I'm really concerned about us being dragged into this conflict even more than we already are. Iran has threatened all Americans and all Israelis around the world. So we'll see what happens. All we can do is just trust our intuition to give us a nudge. If you're about to go into a big party or a big event or a big thing somewhere and you get a nudge that something feels uncomfortable, you might want to listen to your intuition and go home. Cancer energy loves to nest at home. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology in action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take good care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.